Australia just set a hard deadline. By July 2026, up to 180,000 temporary visa holders will be forced to leave, shattering assumptions for students and skilled workers alike. Net overseas migration has already plunged by 43% since its post-pandemic peak, with graduate visa durations slashed and salary barriers rising fast. Is this decisive reform, or the start of an economic crisis for a $52 billion industry? The answer begins with how Australia created a migration wave it's now determined to reverse. When Australia reopened its borders in early 2022, the numbers were staggering. Arrivals surged, pushing net overseas migration to an all-time high of 538,000 in the 2022 to 2023 financial year. This dramatic influx did not happen by accident. During the pandemic, the government repeatedly extended temporary visas, allowing hundreds of thousands to remain after their original end dates. As flights resumed and restrictions eased, a backlog of delayed departures collided with new waves of students, workers, and visitors all seeking a foothold. The sudden population growth put enormous pressure on housing and services. Rents in major cities climbed by as much as 30%, vacancy rates dropped to record lows, and competition for apartments became fierce. Infrastructure, already stretched, struggled to keep up. Public transport, healthcare, and university campuses felt the strain of so many new arrivals in such a short time. Behind the scenes, another policy had quietly shaped the migration landscape for years. From 2013 to 2023, the temporary skilled migration income threshold, known as TSMIT, was frozen at $53,900. For a full decade, this wage floor failed to rise with inflation or living costs. Employers could sponsor overseas workers at rates well below the market average, making temporary migration an attractive option for businesses facing local skill shortages. Critics argued the freeze encouraged wage undercutting and exploitation, especially in sectors like hospitality and aged care. By 2023, the cracks were impossible to ignore. The Jobs and Skills Summit that year set the stage for long overdue reform, but the legacy of the TSMIT freeze, combined with the post-COVID surge, created a population bulge that would soon demand tough choices. The pressure for change was now impossible to contain. A new set of rules now defines who can stay, who must leave, and who gets a shot at Australia's future. The temporary graduate visa 485, once a reliable bridge from study to work, now comes with sharper limits. The maximum age for applicants has dropped from 50 to 35, closing the door for older graduates and career changes. The length of stay shrinks too. Bachelor's and master's degree holders are now capped at 2 or 3 years, instead of the previous 4 to 6 years. PhD. Graduates can remain for 4 years, but the generous extensions for city-based graduates have vanished entirely. English language requirements have tightened, with the minimum IELTS score raised from 6.0 to 6.5 and test results accepted for just 1 year. The student visa pathway faces its own clampdown. The genuine student requirement has replaced the old GTE test, demanding clear proof that the main purpose is study, not work or migration. This new hurdle is now the leading cause of visa refusals, with an 18% rejection rate holding steady. Applying for a student visa will soon cost $2,000, pricing out many potential applicants. And for the first time, a national planning level sets a hard cap, with no more than 295,000 new student commencements in 2026. Skilled migration is no longer an open door for mid-level workers. The core skills income threshold rises to $76,515 in July 2025, while specialist roles must meet $141,210. These salary floors leave hospitality, aged care, and many trades out in the cold. Regional employers and small businesses, already struggling to fill jobs, now face even steeper barriers. The impact is immediate. Student visa lodgements have dropped from nearly 600,000 in 2023 to 2024 to 427,000 in 2024 to 2025, a 29% fall. Departures are climbing, with 263,000 migrants leaving in the last year alone. The new rules draw a sharp line, with fewer arrivals, faster exits, and a clear signal that temporary stays are exactly that, temporary. Tony Burke, Minister for Home Affairs, has never minced words about the new direction. People on visas are guests in Australia, he declared to Parliament, defending the crackdown as a matter of national integrity. For Burke, the reforms are not about headline numbers, but about restoring public confidence in the system. Behind this official line, the system's stress points are hard to ignore. As of 2025, the asylum seeker backlog stands at 128,274 cases, 101,081 of them already refused at primary stage. Migration experts like Abul Rizvi warn that unless this mountain is cleared, the entire system risks collapse. Student visa holders turning to asylum is a growing trend, Rizvi notes, pointing to a wave of frustration and desperation among those who once saw Australia as a land of opportunity. Universities Australia, the peak body for higher education, has sounded the alarm. Rapid visa processing is now critical for public universities to hit their 2026 allocations. Offshore applications did surge in September 2025, but uncertainty still hangs over the sector. There is growing fear that stricter rules and opaque processes will drive both students and visiting academics to more welcoming countries, threatening research, teaching, and the economic lifeblood of many campuses. For those caught in the middle, the human cost is immediate. Among the 157,000 new student arrivals in 2024 to 2025, many built their lives around the promise of 4 or even 6 years of post-study work. Now the maximum stay is 2 or 3 years, and anyone over 35 is excluded. One recent graduate who arrived in 2022 describes the sense of betrayal. "I planned my career here. My lease, my job, my whole future. Now I have to leave in less than a year." Regional employers too are feeling the strain. With working holiday maker departures more than doubling over 2 years, small businesses in hospitality and aged care scramble to fill shifts. The new salary thresholds leave many essential jobs off limits to overseas workers. As departures climb and backlogs grow, the system's promise of fairness and opportunity is under its greatest test. Australia's international education sector now sits at a crossroads. In 2024, the country's universities, colleges, and training providers generated $51.5 billion in export earnings, making education the 4th largest export industry, behind only iron ore, coal, and gas. The numbers are staggering. 817,000 international student enrollments in the year to May 2025, and tens of thousands more on graduate and skilled worker visas. Each permanent skilled migrant, according to the Grattan Institute, contributes an estimated $249,000 in net fiscal benefit over their lifetime. Yet the new migration strategy is set to disrupt this economic engine. But the tightening of post-study work rights and the hard cap on student commencements has already begun to shrink the pipeline. The real flashpoint arrives in July 2026, when a wave of temporary graduate visas granted under the old, more generous rules will expire in a single cluster. Home Affairs projections and cohort data suggest that between 30,000 and 40,000 graduates could see their visas run out that month alone, with monthly expirations staying elevated through the rest of the year. For many, there will be no extension, no pathway to permanent residency, and no option but to leave. The skills in demand. Visa offers a lifeline for a select few, but with only 4,300 places in the new talent and innovation stream, the vast majority will not make the cut. This looming bottleneck forces a national reckoning. On one side of the ledger, the government aims to ease housing stress and restore public trust in migration policy. On the other, Universities and key industries warn of a brain drain, lost revenue, and long-term damage to Australia's global standing. The stakes are clear. The choices made now will decide whether Australia remains a magnet for talent and investment, or risks shrinking its $51.5 billion export sector in a single policy stroke. The country stands at a fork in the road, with the July 2026 deadline as the moment of truth. Right now, Australia faces a crossroads. Every skilled migrant lost represents $249,000 in future revenue, and every open border tests public patience. As the July 2026 deadline nears, the real question is who shapes the nation's future policy or the people who must leave? What do you think?